I'm shocked. I'm shocked like most, if not the entire basketball world appears to be. It's not something that you would have ever anticipated, primarily from the Dallas Mavericks. Luka Doncic is a global star.
Welcome back to Valley Sports Plug. I'm Michael Benjamin. That's Chris Patrick. Chris, it was a normal Saturday night, the beginning of a new month, February 1st. And unfortunately, I was on the couch watching another sad performance from the Phoenix Suns in Portland. But around 10-12 p.m., we all got the news. Even like the Phoenix Suns, Shams Charania tweeted out, the Dallas Mavericks are trading Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleber, and Markieff Morris to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a 2029 first-round pick, sources tell ESPN. And it was a 3-team deal that includes Utah. As we can see, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, Mason Plumlee, Royce O'Neal all kind of had the same feeling that we all did in the NBA community. But Chris, I just got to know right off the bat, man, what was your initial reaction to hearing about this blockbuster trade that shakes up the Western Conference?
Mike, simply speechless. I didn't even see this coming. Nobody saw this coming. Not even Luka Doncic, not even Anthony Davis. I mean, unlike you, I couldn't subject myself to watching that Suns game versus Portland. I was watching a movie with my wife at the time, actually, and my phone just starts buzzing and buzzing and buzzing. And I say, hold on. I got to pause this movie, see what's going on. I'm getting blown up over here. And just text after text, group chats, blowing up, talking about this trade. So I start rapid firing, trying to figure out if it's real. It's honestly like, it seems like a trade you would make in a video game in 2K, something like this happening. I mean, it kind of makes sense, though, if you think about it. Mavericks have had a 2-guard backcourt with Luka and Kyrie. It was kind of working, maybe kind of not. So they get some size. Anthony Davis and Kyrie, I think, are going to pair really well together. And the Lakers get younger. They add a 25-year-old superstar guard. No denying that Luka Doncic is a top 10, maybe top 5 player in this league. You're going to pair him with the veteran, the legend, LeBron James, and the future of the NBA, Bronny James, and see what happens. Both these guys are staying in the West. It's just a bit of a shakeup. Kind of makes me sick, though, that Luka's in the Pacific Division now. Not that that means too much. Still going to have to play him 4 times a year regardless. But, wow, just absolutely crazy. I'm still honestly trying to wrap my head around it.
Yeah, Chris, you're not alone. I mean, a lot of people were basically talking about how they thought that Shams got hacked when the tweets first came down, and he basically had to double down. But let's just say it does seem like this has been unprecedented, and you can really see by the comments from the NBA community itself. Jalen Brunson talking about it being April Fool's. Alex Caruso says he's got to be hacked. Tyrese Maxey and Josh Hart are all asking the same questions that a lot of us were. Even the great Dirk Nowitzki was in absolute shock when it comes down to this type of mood and this type of shakeup for an all-NBA generational talent in Luka Doncic, who is only 25 years old at the end of the day, Chris. And that bodes the question that I have to ask to you once again, and I know that you touched on it just a little bit, but why would the Mavericks make this kind of move to get off of Luka Doncic so early and honestly probably before the prime of his career, man?
Yeah, Mike, that's honestly, I think, the question that everyone's asking. And even it hasn't even been 24 hours. I feel like it's been like 14 hours, and there's going to be a lot of speculation and comments. And I think maybe we might hear from the GM or someone directly. It's all inside sources with knowledge, whatever. But I think a big part of it had to do with his max extension, or him being eligible for a max extension coming up. They're going to have to pay him a lot of money. And we're already seeing reports where they were unsure about his fitness and conditioning. I honestly think it's his attitude as well. I mean, we've seen a lot of plays over the past couple seasons where he thinks he gets fouled, and instead of hustling back on defense, he's arguing with the ref to where now the rest of his team's 4-on-5 going down the court and they give up a bucket. If I had to guess, it probably wasn't just one thing. It was probably a culmination of all these factors. I don't know. It seems like a lot of the consensus, though, is that this was a bad move for the Mavericks, although I have seen some positive commentary on that as well. I mean, I did touch on the positives as far as the on-court product and chemistry goes, with Kyrie and AD having that that 1-2, the big man and the guard, is kind of a classic formula in basketball in general. Opens up the pick and roll, and especially a guy like AD, he can kind of space the floor. I just think it's crazy and shocking when you see someone so young and in their prime at the top of their game being moved. But I mean, when we talk about those reports and comments that are floating around, the speculation, someone said that Luka was, I think, up as much as 260, 270 pounds at one point last year. And it's funny, you start to see a lot of people trying to connect dots that may or may not be related. There was that classic clip of, I don't remember if they had advanced in the playoffs or made the play-in or what, but Luka was celebrating in the locker room, had a beer in his hand, and a coach comes up and grabs it out of his hand and walks over. Are they worried about him maybe being a little too soft, a little too thick around the waist? Seems like might not be a stretch to think that's the case.
And rumors are rumors, obviously, folks. But at the end of the day, there's still a lot of media outlets who are basically talking about the lifestyle of Luka Doncic was something that the Dallas Mavericks organization didn't feel was sustainable at the end of the day. You know, his workout regimen in regards right now is basically kind of playing himself into shape, right? And a lot of people have talked about how when the NBA season ends, he goes back to Slovenia and plays there. So he also doesn't have a lot of time off from basketball. And sometimes you really just need your body to rest in order for you to come back. I think the craziest part about this as well is the amount of money that is being basically taken away from Luka Doncic, who was eligible coming up this summer for that 5-year, $345 million extension, which would have paid him over $70 million a year. Now he's basically losing, I think, about $116 million within contracts. And yes, the GM came out and talked about this is a win now move for the organization. They feel like the pairing of Anthony Davis with Kyrie Irving, putting AD within his specific power forward role instead of having to play center. We do know Derek Lively is out for a little bit, probably another 6 weeks, but they also have Daniel Gafford, so he will just be able to play in his natural position, stretch the floor a little bit more, and they're excited to see what they can do, honestly, right now, Chris. Because if you look at the matchups and you look at these lineups right now, obviously there's a deficit for the Los Angeles Lakers, losing their starting center. Jackson Hayes is basically kind of thrust within a starting position right now. And the only other guys they have on the back end are Christian Koloko and Trey Jameson III. So I don't think that we're done talking about moves specifically from the Los Angeles Lakers. But Chris, seeing this huge move being made right now, I'll pose the question, man, which team do you really think got better from this trade right now at this moment? And are they truly a title contender from the pieces that they have brought?
Oof, Mike, that is the $1 million question. And I think obviously time will tell, and we're going to see really fast which team got better and which team might have taken a step back. For my money, if I had to speculate right now, today, February 2nd, I would say that the Mavericks got better. I mean, from a perspective of a team that's going to take the game serious and do what they intend to do and make a playoff run and a late postseason push, I just think the way I'm seeing this starting five with just 3 guys off the top of my head, Luka, LeBron, and Jackson Hayes, those guys demonstrate quite a bit of immaturity at times. I mean, specifically Luka and LeBron and the way they argue with refs. And, you know, Jackson Hayes has a reputation of his own. We've seen him even in series with the Suns getting in fights and altercations and ejected. It just seems to me like the Lakers are set up to get in their own way more than the Dallas Mavericks are. Say what you will about Kyrie. He's an absolute professional when he's on the court. All his off the court antics are kind of secondary to that. Klay Thompson obviously has that championship pedigree. He knows what to do to get to the mountaintop. And Anthony Davis as well. I know I'm the first person to discredit the 2020 bubble chip, but at the end of the day, he still has a ring. He still has that on his resume. And obviously, of course, not to forget that Kyrie Irving has also made a finals run a couple times and has even won it. So this team has a lot of experience, a lot of pedigree, and I think they'll be a more cohesive unit than the Lakers the way they're currently structured. But like you said, I think we got about a week left until the trade deadline, so won't be surprised if more moves are made for the Lakers.
Definitely. I'm right aligned with you. But I also want to look at the Mavericks side of this. There were rumors once again about Luka Doncic possibly not re-signing with the Dallas Mavericks. So in the grand scheme of things, when we do look at the pieces that were traded and what the Mavericks really got back, yes, they got a superstar in Anthony Davis, but for somebody with the caliber of Luka Doncic, it really seems like pennies on the dollar. But Anthony Davis has relationships with a lot of these guys in the organization. If you think about Nico Harrison, the president of basketball operations, he's known Anthony Davis for a very long time. Same as Michael Finley, ex-Phoenix Sun, but the current assistant GM and VP of player personnel. And then the head coach, Jason Kidd. I think a lot of people forget that in Anthony Davis's rookie year, he played on the Olympic team with Jason Kidd, and Jason Kidd was part of that Los Angeles Lakers coaching staff when they won the 2020 bubble chip. But Chris, we got to roll it back to our Phoenix Suns ties. Help me put into context as a Phoenix Suns fan what this move does for the psyche of a Phoenix Suns fan, I guess, and if there's any kind of residual effect of this type of trade, seeing Luka Doncic go to the Lakers, man.
Yeah, it's hard to say, really. I mean, for my money, I think it won't change a whole lot just for the fact that both of these guys were already in the West, already had to see him 4 times a year. And it's just kind of the make of each team is a little bit different. I do think this makes the Mavericks a little bit more of a daunting opponent, although Luka has historically played well against the Suns. And of course, everybody knows the rivalry between him and Devin Booker. I expect that that'll carry over into Los Angeles and may even intensify when you consider how much Suns fans hate the Lakers. And as much as they'd hate to admit it, I don't think Lakers fans like the Suns very much either. I mean, it's interesting when you bring it home to Arizona and the Phoenix Suns. I just think, for me personally, and I don't want to speak for any other Suns fans, but I think this just puts maybe a little bit more sense of urgency for the Suns to make a play, I would hope, similar to the Lakers, thinking about their long-term future and less about our short-term success. And you said you were watching that game against Portland last night, a game the Suns shouldn't have even lost. And if they were to lose, should have been a close game. Absolutely was not that. So I think dramatic change is necessary for the Suns. Now, will James Jones and Matt Ishbia pull the trigger on that? I don't know. But if anything, I think this makes that potential maybe more palatable. But I mean, who else is out there that you could get for a Kevin Durant or a Brad Beal should he trade his no trade clause? And are you willing to sacrifice maybe not making a deep playoff run this year for having more chances at success down the road? Because, I mean, Mike, we've talked about it right here on Past the Outlet. Suns window is getting smaller as these guys get older. And what are you going to do when Kevin Durant's pushing 40? Bradley Beal's never in the lineup. Devin Booker's almost 30 years old. Now he's still in his prime, not past it yet, because according to VSP Tallman, you're not past your prime until you're 30 years old. I don't know, man. I just think it's crazy. It's like it's a double-edged sword. It kind of changes everything and it changes nothing. I just think, again, time is going to tell here.
Time will tell. It will have a ripple effect at the end of the day. Renewed rivalries, I guess you could say, with the Los Angeles Lakers as Luka Doncic joins that team. But Chris, if you really think about it, this was an absolute nuclear bomb on the NBA community. Probably the biggest trade of at least the past decade. The only thing that I can really think of that might be similar is that Paul George swap with the Oklahoma City Thunder. But you do have to think about all of these pieces that happen, right? There's still outlying draft picks. We don't know what those players are going to become. And at the same time, was the writing on the wall that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander going to be an MVP contender consistently for the next 5 years? And Jalen Williams just coming into his prime as well. I mean, this is something that are two proven known commodities in Luka Doncic and Anthony Davis. And Luka Doncic is still 25 years old at the end of the day, who has been an all NBA player the past 5 years, who probably will be in MVP conversations for the next 5 years as well. So the Los Angeles Lakers have set themselves up for the next era of LA Lakers basketball once LeBron James leaves. And that's the thing that kills me at the end of the day, Chris, is the Lakers somehow once again find themselves walking backwards into a generational talent. But let's just be honest at the same time as well. The Dallas Mavericks, they do have a lot of blame in this. If you remember Mark Cuban, he had this beautiful quote: "If I had to choose between my wife and keeping Luka on the Mavs, catch me at my lawyer's office prepping for a divorce." Chris, the NBA continues to roll on and the trade deadline is right around the corner. And you guys know we'll be diving into a lot more on our next Pass the Outlet, which will be on Tuesday, February 11th at 7 p.m. on the Valley Sports Plug YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like the video, subscribe to Valley Sports Plug on YouTube, and follow us at AZ_VSP on all socials. For Chris Patrick, I'm Michael Benjamin. We'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.